The young lady from Minnesota, Miss Omar. You are recognized. 5 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairwoman. The preservation of the tipped minimum wage system has long lasting effects on worsening economic outcomes for workers of color today. It shouldn't be surprising that it is just another system sharing its roots in the legacy of slavery. In the post Civil War United States, many Black workers were concentrated in the hospitality industry and designed to preserve socioeconomic subordination. They were denied base wages and instead had to work for tips. This tipping model wasn't changed by the Fair Labor Standard Act, but we have an opportunity to address this historic discrimination through the Raise the Wage Act. My state of Minnesota has already taken the necessary steps to establish a fair wage for all, but is also one of the only few states that have addressed the tipped minimum wage largely due to opposition from the restaurant industry. Ms. Dixon, can you respond to some of the concerns over the phase out of the tipped minimum wage, hurting profitability and surging labor costs for local restaurants?
Absolutely. The tip wage has been $2.13 since 1991, and that's unconscionable. And we're not talking about phasing it out overnight. We're talking about phasing it out over time. And as I said in my testimony, the advocates are open to compromise on that phase out. We know that 7 states have already done this, so it's possible, and it's much better for workers. So we're not advocating for getting rid of tips, but we want tips plus the minimum wage, like in those states. And we really don't want employers to continue to get this subsidy for their payroll cost, as you mentioned.
And why have restaurant workers in Minnesota not lost their tipped income or their lost or their jobs due to this change?
The amount that employers have to increase their menu price is very small. And so if we're talking about a phased in increase over time, we're talking about very small increases. There was a study in one of the one fair wage areas that looked at an increase in wages of about 25%, and the menu price had to go up by $1.10. So it's really overblown, what folks are saying about increasing menu costs.
Mhm. Really appreciate that. Overblown is something that we should highlight because a lot of these policies that are being pushed by Republicans is fear based, and they're not based in reality. Because some of us live in some of these states where progress has been made and have not suffered the crazy consequences that the Republicans like to tell the American people that they will suffer. So really do appreciate your input in that. Madam Chair, I would like to yield the rest of my time to Ms. Grijalva.
Yes, Mr. Grijalda, you're recognized.
Thank you, and I thank the gentlelady for yielding. Very quickly, Madam Chair, just thank you and the ranking member for bringing these 3 pieces of legislation forward. Appreciate it very much, and the witnesses and the hearing have been very, very good, and I appreciate that. Representative Jayapal, Chairman Scott, and myself, I think if these bills are essentially corrective actions to address some vestiges of what's already been said by the witness, systemic racism as a standard at got codified into law in 1938, and this double standard that some American workers do not receive the equal protections that others do is basically wrong and rooted in that racism. And I think that what these 3 bills do is provide equity and to these workers, and by correcting that mistake in 1938. And so it's ironic that these now are essential workers, and they're the ones taking the risk. Those are the ones we depend on to take the risk for the rest of us, to provide services to the rest of us. And I think it's time that we treated those workers equally. And I appreciate the time, Madam Chair, and thank you for the hearing. And I yield back my time back to Ms. Omar.
thank you. Okay, ladies got 6 minutes. Okay, the ladies' time is up. I'm gonna yield to